1960 Encyclopedia Americana. Earth dome is 73 miles high, which is 117 kilometers, if I remember correctly. There's no outer space. The sun, moon, and stars are, as Vibes of Cosmos says, if you read the 7 books of Vibes of Cosmos, they are from Greece, but they're written in English. I bought the digital books from their website. I've made videos in the past on my previous channel, which was terminated. Now, Earth's dome, 73 miles high, which is like the highest point would be Hyperborea, considering the Antarctica Circle, which is forbidden off limits for us since 1961. As you can see here in the text, this thing here you can see here with 73 miles, it's just for reference purposes, so you can get an idea. But remember, Vibes of Cosmos has better graphics and explanations in their books. Also remember that Vibes of Cosmos has been publishing books since 2020, I think. I'm not sure if it was 2020 or 2021. So it's been 5 years now since the books have been consistently coming out, right? From book number 1 to book number 7. And in the Encyclopedia Americana, it says here, so this is 1960. Remember, it's 1 year before the Antarctica Treaty was enforced with military precision on a geopolitical military scale in the world. They say about flights which have been done since 1955, 10 years after the Second World War. These flights proved the inland areas to be featureless in character, and that area of what is called Antarctica, imagine, featureless in character, with a dome. They use the word dome. The word dome is used. It's not an interpretation. It's not of what if or an imagination. It's the actual word of 4 letters, D-O-M-E, dome. It says 13,000 feet high at about latitude 80 degrees south and longitude 90 degrees east. Now, 13,000 feet is, I think it's 4 kilometers, which is 2.5 miles. So you can see they even give you the details of the latitude and longitude. 80 degrees south longitude and 90 degrees east, 80 degrees south latitude and 90 degrees east longitude. That's way beyond the limits of the Antarctica Treaty. For us common mortal civilians, I think it's 60 degrees latitude south. So it's like 20 degrees more, which would mean that because they say 13,000 feet, which is 4 kilometers, that's the edges, and even at the edges of the Antarctica Treaty, the dome is still 4 kilometers high, or 2.5 miles. So that's more than enough for a common mortal that doesn't have any airplane or any UFO, which is an electrifying vehicle. So based on those calculations and based on the diameter presented by Vibes of Cosmos of how big the Earth is within the Antarctica Treaty Circle, then that's why probably the calculations were made, since it's 13,000 feet, which is 4 kilometers high at that latitude, 80 degrees south, which is an extreme, the edges, as we would call them, the edges of the Antarctica Treaty. Then if you go all the way to Hyperborea, which is the North Pole, which is the central part of the Antarctica Treaty, if you draw a circumference, a circle, of course Hyperborea, we all know it's off limits because of the treaties and the military present off the shores of Scandinavia, Northern Europe, and Russia, and Canada, and Alaska, and Greenland. We've all seen that, and Vibes of Cosmos does a very good job in explaining them. So calculations would be that at the highest point from somewhere in Hyperborea, or at least the edges of the North Pole, the dome is 73 miles high, which makes perfect sense because when we see the rockets never go into space. They just go a bit up, and then they do this curved line, this curve movement. They come back down in the ocean, and then the TV or like the news, they switch to 3D CGI footage with a video. So we've all seen that on TV, on the news, and on YouTube, and on the internet, and on television, etc. This is also important to understand that because of the Encyclopedia Americana in 1960, which is 1 year before the Antarctica Treaty was enforced, afterwards the Encyclopedia Americana did not show this text any longer, which means that that's the main reason why they didn't show it. The Antarctica Treaty was enforced in 1961. It expires in 2045. It's political, it's military, it's by law, it's an enforcement by law. So I guess that's the reason why 1960 is the last year where we have this type of thing written in a book. And remember, it's written in a book. It's not like something that somebody wrote because they were bored in their corner. And it's beautiful to actually see this latitude and longitude. It's way beyond the limitations imposed to us. So it's like, way inland and way into the ocean. And if it wasn't for Vibes of Cosmos, I would still struggle to understand what the Antarctica Treaty is and how this world is actually, it looks like, right? And fortunately, we've seen the moon all our lives, the moon on the sky, especially in the summer months when you see the moon every day when it's full moon. And it makes perfect sense once you read the Vibes of Cosmos books, and everything was in plain sight. I have to be careful because it's so disturbing in my mind that I cannot speak freely on YouTube. I apologize for this. I have to constantly remind myself after so many years. It's been now 8 years since I've done YouTube, and I never had trouble in making videos using sarcasm and humor, and now I have to force myself because I was so used to use sarcasm and humor. I just have to shut up and just stick to the facts of my video with the pictures and photos. Now, what happens on the big majority of YouTube channels or websites that speak about the shape of the Earth? They don't care about Vibes of Cosmos. Once you understand Vibes of Cosmos, you understand that everything that was said regarding the flat Earth and regarding all these years on the internet about this stuff is taken out of context. And the geopolitics and the military is not respected in these senses and history. So once you combine this knowledge, like in the case of the Encyclopedia Americana, with Vibes of Cosmos and with the moon and what I have been showing you on my previous channel, then you understand the real world. This also makes sense with what NASA said back in the day. I think it was 2015 when they said that you cannot exit lower Earth orbit, which is calculated at approximately 100 kilometers. Some people say 120 kilometers, others say 80 kilometers, others say a bit more than 100 kilometers. But then again, 117 kilometers is the highest point. So it makes sense to say, like NASA said, like that scientist said, which the video is still around the internet somewhere, that we cannot exit lower Earth orbit, which is calculated at approximately 100 kilometers, and 73 miles high is approximately 117 kilometers. And also the radiation belts, and Vibes of Cosmos explains about the radiation. As the more you go up and more radiation you have. In the 1930s, you have scientist Picard from Switzerland who launched himself in a primitive capsule, and he reached, I don't remember how much of a distance he reached, but I know it was I think it was higher than 20 kilometers. I think it was almost 30 kilometers. And he said that everything is pitch black there and silent, and the Earth looks really flat with the edges upwards. So yeah, it's those things that are still kept in history that marvel us so much. Now the Antarctica Treaty expires in 2045. We are in 2025. It's 20 years in the future. Don't ask me what's going to happen. I'm just like you. I'm just a common guy who tries to understand the little knowledge that is allowed to know in the public domain. So thanks for watching, and I hope that now you understand that I am the same person that I was on the previous channel. I'm going to try my best to build up the community and make more videos in English. See you in the next video.